Hey, so I wanted to share an experience we had this week that kind of opened my eyes to a different way of seeing things and really blessed our family. So we were discussing the parable of the Good Samaritan in our morning devotional, and I showed the kids this video where it depicts this scene where these men pop up out of the hills, and this man is walking through, and they're wearing black, and they pop up and they go and they rob him and leave him for dead, right? And as you know, a man walks by later and ignores him. Another man walks by and doesn't pay attention. And then the last man, the Samaritan, who, in that culture, he was the one that people look down on, he stops and he bandages up his wounds and takes care of him, shows him love, and then takes him to a safe place and pays the price for him to stay there until he can come back and check on him. And as we discussed this story, I asked the kids, so how can we tell in our family who is the wounded one? Who is the one that's been maybe attacked spiritually by Satan and who is feeling wounded and who needs our help? And one of my daughters said, well, it's probably the one that's being the most annoying. And I said, that's really insightful. What do you mean? And she said, well, if you have the Spirit with you, you're usually at peace and you don't feel a need to annoy. But if you don't, then you can be kind of mean and rude and obnoxious. And I said, you know what, that's really true. I appreciated her pointing that out. And later on, that thought stuck with me and it penetrated my heart because it was true. So later on, yesterday actually, one of my kids, my little daughter again, I mentioned her in the last video, she's having a hard time lately controlling her emotions, and she needed to empty the dishwasher and she broke down and she struggled, and she's emptied it many times before. It's not like it was something new. She's 5, so it is, a big job for her, but she knows how to do it. And so I said, oh, don't you forget to empty the dishwasher, Joy? And she broke down and she started crying, and I don't want to do it. And she has this like kind of fake loud scream that kind of grates on your nerves. And I mentioned last week that my immediate reaction was to kind of get mad. But this week, she started doing it, and I remembered what Jessalyn had said, that she wasn't being a rebellious child. She was hurt and injured in the spirit. And so what she needed was care and love. And so I went and I picked her up, and she was still kind of squirmy and kicking, and I hugged her tight, and I took her to a different spot so that she wasn't with the rest of the family. And I kissed her on her hair, and I said, you're very frustrated. You need some time to calm down. Let me know when you're calm. You can come out and we can talk about it. And she was in there kind of screaming for a little bit, but then she came out a couple minutes later. We were all gathered for devotional, and she came and she hugged me and she sat on my lap. We were done with devotional. She went and did her dishes and didn't have a problem. And I wanted to share this with you for 2 reasons. One was it taught me 2 lessons. The first was just the incredible power of a true thought. That's why it's so important that we are continually educating ourselves, right? Not letting ourselves be distracted or entertained, because there's so many powerful snippets and thoughts out there that are, in these books that are waiting for us if we just take the time to learn and read and hear them, that will penetrate our hearts and change the way we interact with others and then the way we live in really impactful ways. And so, the power of a thought is very important, and it can carve out pathways in our brain. In fortification number 2 in the Waking Warriors Journey course that is on the website, wakingwarriors.com, we talk about the mind and the power the mind has to carve out pathways that lead us to our goals. Emotion comes, and often we have these pathways we've carved out through years that take us to an action that maybe we don't desire and we don't want, but we have the power to change those pathways through repetition or through an intensity of an action. And a true thought is very intense when it penetrates our hearts. If we keep repeating it, we will get on autopilot and go to that action in the future without necessarily having to think it all out again. And so I hope that's what happens with this. I hope I can keep remembering, this child is not being rebellious, they're being injured, and keep that thought in my mind so that it carves out that mentality, and eventually will just be automatic, that thought river will flow there, and I can have that better action when they behave that way. And it kind of goes against what we think of in the behavioral psychology, where we talk about if a child acts a certain way and you give them a reward, then they're going to keep acting that way. But if they act a different way, you got to give them a reward for that because we want them to keep acting that way. Again, it's focused on behaviors. And in a way, that's true. That's good training. But if we remember that it's not about the behavior, it's about the heart, then we can more effectively say, I need to help you. Right now you're injured. You're not my enemy. You're a fellow soldier in this battle, in this life, and I just need to help you get to a better place. And for Joy, at that time, it was a little timeout spot in another room where she could be calm. Sometimes for me, it's locking myself in a bathroom for a little bit, or for a teenager, it might be to be in their room for a while without electronics, again, I think it's those expectations that are coming at us. Joy was very overwhelmed because I had been gone at the gym that morning and her brothers had been telling her to do the dishwasher. So she had all these people's expectations coming at her and she was rebelling. And sometimes it's everybody's expectations that keep us in this rebellious mode. But if we can be alone for a little bit and let go of those expectations coming at us and focus on where it is that we are and where our Heavenly Father wants us to be and His expectations, then we can be more calm and react in the way that is more healthy and good. So that's the second lesson, is just the importance of a safe place for our children, for our family, so that we can turn and go there when we need to heal, right? The man needed to heal and he got taken to a safe spot. And we often need healing. This is a rough world. There's a lot of meanness and just harshness and difficult things that our kids have to go through sometimes. And they need a safe place where they can rest and heal. And that can be our home. And a way we make our home a healing place is by having clear boundaries about what's allowed in it, keeping things in it that bring light and hope in our home, and not allowing things in that maybe distract us or diminish our spirits and make us feel dark. So, it's important that we make that boundary and we say, we got to respect this boundary. This is our home. And with teenagers, sometimes they can kind of feel like, well, you're infringing on my boundary because maybe I want to listen to this music and maybe I want this. But we have to remember to teach them that, yeah, they have that boundary and they're allowed to think the thoughts they want and to feel the things they want to feel, but that they need to respect the boundary of our home. And so, again, sometimes kids will say, well, it's my room. I should be able to do what I want in it. And really, even if they were renting a room in your home and paying you for it, landlords also have expectations for how you need to keep their home clean and neat. And so, unless they own their own home and they're doing their own things with that space, they work hard to provide for themselves, they do not have the right to do whatever they want in it. And they have to understand that. So it is important that we say, this is the boundaries of our home. This is what's allowed in it. Things that will make us all be able to heal and feel safe, because it's a rough world and we want to support each other in this. And kids understand that when we explain it to them in a loving and kind way, and they're willing to cooperate because we all want a safe place to go and heal, right? So those are the two lessons. I hope they're helpful for you. Our kids need safe places to go. They need a safe place to be, and we can help that be in our home when they need it. And our thoughts are powerful. So if you want to discuss any more about this, or we can come visit the Waking Warriors Facebook discussion group, and I invite you to come try out the course. Right now we are focused on our minds and the power our mind has to take us to our goals and the things that we want to accomplish with our Savior. So come take a look, check it out. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you there. Bye.